Did you know that there's a comic book that has 5 different superheroes, all of which are Mormon and represent different facets of the LGBTA community? I put A in there because one of the characters is asexual.
I'm in love with a hero. I'm in love with the one who will.
Hello comic book people of the world, let's talk about Stripling Warrior Volume 1. This is written by Brian Anderson, it was illustrated by James Nish, and it was published by So Super Duper. I already did a video talking about the first 3 issues of Stripling Warrior, which I'll put a link to just in case you haven't watched it yet. This trade paperback includes the first 3 issues, plus a small mini issue, and also an annual issue. I'm about to go into some major spoilers about this story, so if you have not read this and you plan on reading it, don't watch the rest of this video, and I'm warning you right now. The first 3 issues introduces us to our first protagonist, which happens to be both Faye Fernandez and Samuel Shepard, both of which were visited by the angel Amish, who gave them heavenly powers. They were both doing their superheroics separately until they met by accident. They took down some Mormon haters, but they also made some friends on the side as well. This is Elder Botel, who I'll talk about him later. They eventually have to use their full abilities and skills in order to take down the first person who ever murdered another man, and this happens to be Cain. He's also the CEO of a big corporation because all CEOs are pretty much evil, and that's sort of like the recap of what happened in the first 3 issues. We're given a bit of an ominous glimpse of a future villain by the name of Amon, which when you continue on in the story you find out that he's another heavenly warrior that was given powers by another angel. Poor Sam, he's captured by Amon and he's tortured. He's also humiliated a bit by Amon, and you get a feeling that there's really no hope for what's going to happen to him. Luckily though, Faye comes to the rescue. However, she also brings his husband, who happens to be Jace, her own wife Chandra, and Elder Botel. In this part of the story we find out a little bit more about their personalities, one of which Jace happens to be bisexual. Shonda is a trans woman, and the Elder is asexual. So the 5 of them together really do make up the whole LGBTA component. Together they're able to take down Amon, and they're all rewarded with heavenly abilities themselves. So the story ends with the 5 of them forming a superhero group, and for those to continue on fighting battles for those who need help. The story itself is quite inspiring. It has a very positive message to it, and you don't really read too much about Mormons and having anything have to do with superheroes. Brian did a great job of defining his characters and also bringing in their respective partners. And he left off at a point where it feels as though this is a definitive ending for this story, but he could continue on later. James Nish's artwork is spectacular. I love the designs for the characters, and I especially love the costumes that he picked for each of them. They're a bit uniformed in the sense that they have kind of like an X-Men vibe where they kind of look similar, but they're still unique with their own way. Hopefully Brian will continue on with this series. Like I said, it's a very unique premise. There's not a lot of stories about a gay superhero who happens to be a Mormon, and it's shown in a positive light. But until that happens, if you're interested in reading the individual issues, or if you want to read the trade paperback as a whole, or if you're interested in reading some of the other stories that Brian Anderson has done, you want to go to sosuperduper.com and you can read them from there. I will end it at that point. Thank you guys for watching me in this video. I do have a bit of a cold, so I may not sound exactly on top of my game, but I do appreciate you watching me all the way through this. If you're interested, check out my Patreon site, check out my social media sites, my websites, and everything else out there. Peace, love, namaste, and I'll see you guys later.
Will always win. He's a prominent figure.
Jace, Shonda, and Botel all have like a heartfelt moment. They don't really realize why they're doing it. It turns out it's because of Faye's familiar, which happens to be called a Liahona. At the end of the book, they all get their own Liahonas, with the exception of Botel, whose name is Riley, by the way. I kind of felt like he was left out, and I feel like he needs one too. Maybe in the next issue, if a new story is being done, something like that will be given to him.